How high is too high to rank Dameon Pierce after his Week 9 performance? All that and more this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Magdziuk.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome into the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, everybody. I am Kate Magdziuk. You could follow me on Twitter at FFBallBlast. And as always, I am joined by my fantastic co-host, Marcus Mosher. You can give him a follow over at Marcus_Mosher. And please be sure, help support the show if you like what we're doing. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us, tell us what you're liking, and hit that subscribe on YouTube. Like, we don't want to miss any opportunity to give you league-winning dynasty advice. So please hit that subscribe so we don't miss you. Marcus, we had a somewhat entertaining football game
More
on
than
Thursday
I thought,
night.
right?
Much like if anybody thought that game was going to be as close as it was, the Texans kept it competitive the entire game, just up until like maybe the last 5 minutes or so, and it was a contest. And we had some winners, we had some losers. Like let's talk about Dameon Pierce, because he is flooding my timeline with everybody that was shocked and awed by his all-out performance. Had a career high 139 rushing yards. Didn't score a touchdown, though, and didn't have a single target. What do we make of Dameon Pierce?
First and foremost, before we even talk about like his dynasty value and where we should rank him, he looked awesome. Like his contact balance is incredible. The way that he runs is so much fun to watch. Like he's a really fun player to watch. And he's producing, even like, as you said, despite not having a reception, not having a touchdown, basically 140 yards in this game against one of the better teams in the NFL, if not the best team. It's impressive. It comes down to this game. Yeah, very impressive. What do we feel about him long term? Do we think this Texans team, number one, is going to commit to him beyond this year? Do we think the offense will get better at some point that produces more chances for him to score? And can they get him involved as a receiver? The answer is yes to all three of those. We're talking about one of the most valuable running backs in Dynasty. However, I think fantasy owners and Dynasty owners are a little bit hesitant to get there. Currently on Dynasty League Football, his average ranking is RB19. RB19. Does that feel too low to you?
Much too low. Like much too low. And I think we still have to see, like, where does Breece Hall fall? Because we don't have him rest a season, TBD. Like, we have no idea what his recovery is going to look like. Najee Harris sitting in the top 10 right now. Like, does he deserve to be there? You know, like there are a lot of names, Marcus, like Joe Mixon, RB12, who's just racking on touch after touch after touch. 26 years old only, but still, like, he's been a dude that hasn't been totally healthy. And now he's like, very close to the top among active running backs in touch total. I think we need to be considering Dameon Pierce much higher. He's 100% certified in the top 10 for me at this point.
I don't know if I'm quite there yet, because the touchdown potential just still isn't there. And there are some running backs that are being drafted near him and being ranked near him that I don't want to say that I like better, but I like just about the same. I want to go through a few of them, okay? And you tell me who you'd rather have. Dameon Pierce, again, RB19, according to Dynasty League Football. Ramondre Stevenson, RB21.
I'll take Dameon Pierce.
Ooh, I think I'll take Stevenson just because of what he can do in the passing game. He has 15 receptions over the last 2 weeks.
He has 15 receptions, but like Marcus, we keep going back to the reception total and the potential for touchdowns. Like, I think what's maybe being underscored here is the kind of team that this Texans organization is trying to build. Like,
Sure,
this isn't they're not looking to build, at least at this point, a powerhouse offense. They are looking to they remind me more of, a Ravens a la, Lamar Jackson's, first couple seasons in the
Just
league,
without
where
Lamar.
just without Lamar Jackson, but like they are looking to be dominant on defense. They're looking to just control the ball, run the clock, and that seems to be like what they are putting together with Petrie, with Derek Stingley. Like, these defensive assets are actually proving to be pretty valuable. And I think that, like, when we look at solid defenses being built in the NFL, which the Houston Texans are building a solid defense, that complements the run game more than adequately enough, I think, to dispel any of the concerns. Like, Marcus, we saw games, 24 targets on the season. Like, not great, but 3 targets per game as a rookie, as a guy that, just generally speaking, doesn't have a ton of playing time in general, even at college. I'll take that all day. There's so much room to grow.
I don't disagree. It's tough. Like, I'll give you another one. Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has more touchdowns this season on fewer touches, and the yardage isn't all that different. Tony Pollard going into the last year of his contract, I assume either the Cowboys give him a big deal or somebody else does, and he just has more explosive play potential. That one's close for me, Kate. I'm not sure which way I'd go, but it's close.
I mean, I think you go with the guy that I think is more destined for touch volume. Like, imagine a world like, and we've talked about this before, where, obviously this team, the Dallas Cowboys, are very much committed to Ezekiel Elliott. But God forbid if he stays with the Dallas Cowboys and they continue to play this like cat and mouse game, it's still going to be a volatile, rocky road. Like, give me the guy that's averaging 19 carries a game, Marcus.
Yeah.
Like, 19 carries a game. And they're not meaningless carries. He looks hella good. Hella good. And
Tony Pollard's also averaging 8.2 yards per game, or 8.2 yards per rush when Dak Prescott plays. That's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but he's not the team's leading running back. And he's not a spring chicken in comparison to Dameon Pierce. We've got, I think, a younger dude. We've got a guy that I can't find any reason why the Houston Texans wouldn't commit to him. And
they should.
He's averaging 4.6 yards per attempt on a bad offense.
Yep, I don't disagree. Just really quickly, nobody else from this offense really did anything outside of Philip Dorsett caught 3 passes for 69 yards. Chris Moore 4 for 41. The tight ends I love Brevin Jordan. He's just never going to be a thing with Davis Mills. 1 catch for 5 yards in this game. They play like 5 different tight ends. I think Dameon Pierce, even when Nico Collins comes back, and maybe even when Brandon Cooks comes back, is the only player that you can trust week in, week out on this lineup or on this roster.
I think that's fair. And I think one last thing before we close out this Texans side of the ball, I want to talk about Brandon Cooks, who wasn't active in week 9. Obviously very disappointed that he wasn't traded ahead of the NFL trade deadline. Sat out for quote unquote personal reasons. He was, I think, blowing off some steam. But head coach Lovie Smith expects him to be back. How are you valuing Brandon Cooks? Do you think this is a moment where we could trade him and maybe the squeaky wheel gets the grease? And
here's the way I'm valuing Brandon Cooks. I'm trading for him now as a speculative ad, knowing that I'm probably not getting anything this year from him. There were multiple teams that wanted him at the trade deadline. Can I break some news a little bit here?
Oh, okay? Please.
The Cowboys thought they had the trade done with the Texans in regards to Brandon Cooks. They actually were getting ready to call it into the league. And then Nick Caserio, the Texans GM, kind of said, hold on, wait 1 second. And it didn't get done. So that's why Brandon Cooks was so upset, because he thought a deal was basically done with the Cowboys. But it wasn't just the Cowboys. The Rams also had some interest. There were a couple of other teams sniffing around. I know he's guaranteed.
the
Go ahead.
Rams are just so desperate to bring back. Like they're like
Yeah.
trying to
Wow.
collect their old players. They move on from guys and they're like, wait, 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 wait.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But Brandon Cooks, he is technically signed through 2024. But
He'll be on a different
if
team next year. I'm
he
just
will,
telling you.
yep.
So if you like Brandon Cooks, he's going to go to a team with a better quarterback. I mean, I don't know how you can go to a team with a worse quarterback unless you land in Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm adding him now or trading for him now, knowing that I'm probably not going to get anything for him the rest of the season. But that's okay. I think he's going to have pretty decent fantasy value moving forward. Let's talk about the Eagles, Kate. But before we do that, we want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Prediction Strike, the world's first sports stock market. You can now invest in professional athletes just like stocks. It's a lower risk alternative to sports betting, and athlete prices move based on performance and supply and demand. Like, for example, Kate, if you would have invested in Jalen Hurts just a year ago, if you would have actually believed that he was going to break out. Just kidding. You believe in him. You'd be up 48.2%. Kyle Pitts down 44.1% over the last year. That's not all that shocking. You can invest in 4 sports, not just the NFL, but also UFC, NBA, MLB. Everyone knows you should be investing, but why not invest in something that you actually know as a football fanatic? Download the Prediction Strike app and use promo code LOCK for a free share when you sign up and make a deposit of $20 or more. That is promo code LOCKED for a special one-time giveaway. Prediction Strike will then choose one person who signs up with promo code LOCKED and makes up a deposit, and you could win a 100 free random shares. That could be worth like $3,000 or $4,000 if you get lucky and get like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes share. Invest in what you know on Prediction Strike, the stock market for sports. So much better than going to look at your actual stocks. We also wanted to tell you about Built Bar. I mean, can we pause the podcast for a second? Okay, we're paused. Great, because I got to tell you about this. They've got some awesome new Built Bars, some reimagined flavors, cookie dough topper, coconut brownie bar, coconut brownie topper. They've got white chocolate peppermint granola, perfect for the holidays. If you haven't tried Built Bars before, it's literally the best tasting protein bar ever built. I just ordered 2 new boxes of the toffee almond. They're sitting downstairs. Can't wait to have one for lunch. They are revolutionizing nutrition as we know it. 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, and shockingly low sugar and calories. Only 130 calories. I mean, how can you beat that? Just sink your teeth into that first bite and your life will be changed forever. I'm not kidding. They've sent me a nice little box of some of these new flavors. You're going to absolutely love them when you try. Get 15% off your order right now by using promo code LOCKEDON15 at built.com. Again, 15% off your order right now by using promo code LOCKEDON15 at built.com. And go ahead and try out the toffee almond, my absolute favorite right now. All right, Kate, let's talk about the Eagles. If you had an Eagle player in your lineup outside of Devontae Smith, they smashed this week. Jalen Hurts, 21 of 27 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 23 yards in this game. Miles Sanders, 17 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 8 for 100 and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 4 for 59 and a touchdown. I mean, just everybody doing a little bit. Kenneth Gainwell, even 22 yards and a touchdown. Caught 3 passes for 16 yards. This Eagles offense is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, it is a never-ending gift. Marcus, I think there's one storyline that I want to talk about amid all those gifts. I think we got finally a tight end gift in Dallas Goedert, who I'm all in on as a top 4 dynasty tight end moving forward. Does
Sure.
that seem too high?
So let's talk this out. We've got obviously Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts,
Goddard.
I mean, at this point, I don't think we can trust Darren Waller to stay healthy, right?
Nope.
And even when he's played, the production has gone down significantly. George Kittle is a better real life player than Goddard, but he just doesn't get enough targets. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we've seen time and time after season after season, Dallas Goedert is producing when he gets the opportunity among tight ends, Marcus. Like, he is just absolutely crushing it from a yards per route run standpoint. season after season, he continues to be among top tight ends when it comes to yards per route run. And that is such a sticky efficiency metric. And it really, really gives a lot of insight into what Dallas Goedert is accomplishing in those opportunities he gets to run routes. Like he's capable all over the field, but I mean, point blank, when it comes to his receiving ability, one of the most underrated receiving tight ends in the league, and he continues to get significant volume, much more consistently than a guy like Devonta Smith has. Like he's a bigger constant in this offense. Like it seems like, obviously the wide receivers, it's AJ Brown, and then we can kind of play swapsies with the running backs, the rest of the receivers. But the two constants for me are AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, and it's not even close. And I'm willing to invest really heavily in Dallas Goedert at this point. Let's talk about some recent trades. Okay. Like just off the top of your head, Marcus, do you agree with me that Dallas Goedert's a top 4 tight end?
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario, he's tight end 5, right?
Over which one of those? Which one of those guys are we?
I mean, certainly over Waller at this point.
Okay.
The only one that I can I'm just a tiny bit hesitant with Kittle because we've seen the upside there, but he just can't stay healthy either. But again, without a question, he's tight end 5 at worst.
Okay. So some recent trades, Marcus. Dallas Goedert for a 2023 second and a 2023 4th round pick.
Done. Heartbeat.
Done.
Yep.
Dallas Goedert for a 2023 3rd round pick. Isaiah Pacheco and quarterback Taylor Heineke.
Done. Not even thinking about it. Yep.
Smash.
Yep.
How about this one's a little bit more interesting, but I think it's worth discussing. Jonathan Taylor, Keyshawn Vaughn, and a 2025 1st round pick. Okay.
I hope I'm alive then.
I hope I'm alive at that point. I hope my league hasn't dissolved by that point. For Josh Jacobs, Dallas Goedert, and Khalil Herbert. That one makes you think, doesn't it?
Ooh. I would probably lean the Taylor side, but that's closer than I thought.
It's closer than you thought it would be. I think that Dallas Goedert is just like super underrated. I'm going to send a 2023 2nd round pick. I'll send a 2nd round pick and then some for Dallas Goedert because I think season after season, Marcus, he has been a bright spot at the tight end position, and he's been low key, I think, the most reliable tight end, outside of a Travis Kelce that we've been able to find.
I 100% agree. I don't really think there's any more big takeaways from this game.
How about Devonta Smith? What do we do?
Nothing.
We freaking out?
No. It was just one of those games where I think if the Eagles were a little bit more concerned about this game and they were playing a better opponent, I think you would have seen Hurts air it out a little bit more, but they could get whatever they want on the ground. There was just guys running wide open all game long. Just not concerned. He's too good of a player to be concerned.
Now, I mean, Marcus, in 4 out of the last 5 games, 44 or fewer receiving yards.
I'm just not worried. I mean, it's maybe the wrong approach here, but we know that he's a good player. We know that this
talent wins out here.
Yeah, and he's young. I'm just not worried, Kate. That's all.
Okay.
All right. Can we do some promotion commotion?
I think we shall.
All right. Let's do it. But before we do that, we want to tell you about LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and, most importantly, for free. All you have to do is add your job in the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Kate, promotion commotion time. Let's do it. The ugliest segment of the week. This was really ugly with 6 teams on bye, a bunch of injuries. Who are you promoting from your bench into your starting lineup?
All right, so I'm going to kick it off with kind of an easy one here. Just get our toes wet. Let's talk about Dameon Jackson, running back for the Indianapolis Colts. We've got Jonathan Taylor, 2 straight days, no practice, re-aggravated that ankle injury. I have to imagine that even if this dude suits up, like, we're still going to be seeing a timeshare. Nyheim Hines out of town. Dameon Jackson is going to be the go-to guy, I think, in this game, whether or not we actually have Jonathan Taylor active.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable starting him in a flex position. Now, the matchup is tricky. The New England Patriots allowing the second fewest fantasy points to the running back position. But in terms of a guy that I think is kind of like a lock for maybe, 70 rushing yards, if he gets the start, I'm in on that, especially in a week where we're managing this many buys.
I 100% agree. I actually have Dameon Jackson in the starting lineup right now because I've been so decimated with injuries. That got Mike Williams out this week, and we'll see about Allen Lazard. So here's another guy that I'm starting in one of my big leagues. His name is Michael Bandy. I don't know if you've even
I've never heard of him.
Okay. He is currently rostered in 1% of ESPN leagues. Do you want to take a guess of what team he plays for?
Not a clue.
Okay. He plays for the Los Angeles Chargers, who are going to be without Keenan Allen this week, who are going to be without Mike Williams. And we'll see about Josh Palmer, who's dealing with a concussion. Michael Bandy actually had 6 targets against Seattle in week 7. I think they're going to have to throw the ball a bunch against Atlanta. Atlanta secondary is not very good. If you need just a guy that's going to be on the field a bunch, by the way, he played almost every snap for the Chargers in week 7. This is who I'm playing.
I mean, I
don't look that he had negative yardage last week despite getting 6 targets, but I'm just saying he's going to get a ton of opportunities in this game.
I mean, I think that's fair. This is definitely this is a make or break moment, without a doubt. 100%. But imagine if he actually comes out and produces like that.
I'm going to be so annoying on the podcast on Monday if he's 5 for 60 and a touchdown. It's going to be so awesome.
I'm going to be rooting for it all weekend. Now I feel stupid coming back to the well with this one, but again, I want to shout out these very high upside matchups, so you make sure that you're not leaving these guys on your bench. It's Curtis Samuel week. 100%. Curtis Samuel, I think, has a shot at finishing as a top 12 wide receiver this week. Do not be concerned by the fact that he hasn't eclipsed 78 receiving yards this year. I think he's going to do it this week. He's had 4 or more carries in each of the last 2 games. Incredible. Love that for the floor. But most importantly, he's been playing out of the slot, and he gets the Minnesota Vikings, who have been decimated out of the slot this year. And we saw it last week with Rondale Moore. This is Curtis Samuel's week. This is the breakout week, and you do not want to miss it out by having him on your bench. Promote that man.
Yes, I like that one. Last one for me. Rashad Bateman on the injured reserve list. We should probably have talked about that earlier in the show. Going to miss the rest of the season with a Liz Frank injury. I kind of like James Prochet this week, who's going to step into that number 2 role. 3 for 24 against Tampa Bay last week. I just get this feeling that he's going to have a big game against the Saints. Steve Smith, former Baltimore Raven, continues to say anytime he's on TV that James Prochet is their best receiver and that they just need to give him more touches. I just wonder if this is the time to maybe think of, if he's on, in your waivers, certainly go pick him up. Wouldn't be surprised in a game in which the Ravens are going to have to score points if he gets some targets down the field.
Yeah, not to mention the the injury status of Mark Andrews.
Yes. Yep.
Crazy. just could be crazy upside here. They need to throw the ball to somebody. And James Prochet played a season high 63% of offensive snaps last week. He got on the mix. Additional shout out to Isaiah Likely for
absolutely
that potential upside as well.
Neither of those guys though are Michael Bandy though, so we'll see. I want to know if anybody else knows who Michael Bandy is. I mean, seriously, like, does anybody even know who this guy is? You're going to know once he gets 17 points this week in your fantasy lineup. So that is it for today's show. Thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, all the same places that you would listen to the Locked On Dynasty podcast. Please give Kate a follow on Twitter at FFBallBlast. I am at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy this awesome slate of Week 9 games, everybody. I hope you'll tune in on Monday. See you next time.